become a red belt. And so if I can stay on the course of action that I'm on, I will hopefully have a black belt in about another 2 years. So
Nice. That's excellent.
I'll go next. I'm Kathryn Frickstad-Olson, and I've been working with FRSecure for 4 years now. And like Coral, I spend a lot of time running around my family and staying involved in those types of things. But something that I do for myself is I try and spend time outside as much as I can, especially because we have such cold winters that when the sun is out, I like to be outside and garden and really just do anything outside.
Mhm. It's amazing how those winters change your perspective on hot summer days, right?
It really does.
How about you, Mia?
I am Mea Yang, and I've been with FRSecure for 3 years. And my current list of hobbies is to teach my kids the art of sports in general. We introduced technology to them pretty early, so some of them did get into a little bit of coding and stuff like that, but I really want them to enjoy the weather a little bit more. So I've introduced them to the sports that I loved as a kid, which was bike riding, roller skating, um, not competitive or anything like that, but soccer and volleyball and pickleball is one thing that we picked up. And just like Kathryn said, a reason to be outdoors and enjoy the sunshine and everything like that, and an escape from technology a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. I know that can be a challenge, I think, especially when we work on technology and are in front of it all the time. It's like sometimes that becomes the habit for the kids.
They're
you
my
just need a break.
Yeah,
For sure.
it's definitely been a challenge for our kids this summer so far because, like, working all day, and sometimes you want to get out, and other times it's like, I'm just tired. I might have been sitting all day, but I still just want to sit and veg out for the rest of the night. So, yeah, trying to get out. Um, what have I been working on? Uh, my most recent adventure was cleaning our gutters for the first time. I never had to do it at the old house. We had gutters, we needed gutters, but there just weren't trees close enough or over the house enough to really clog them. And then with our rainstorms, like the last week or two, especially from my view in the office here, I saw water coming out the wrong end of the gutter, creating a giant crater in the dirt next to outside my window. So I was like, that's a clogged gutter. I gotta figure that out. So got up on my ladder and just started pulling hunks of stuff out and spraying it down. It was,
It's a gross job.
it's gross, but
But necessary.
and necessary. Yeah, exactly. There, I ended up cleaning two gutters, the ones that weren't too high and needing like, I don't know, safety equipment to get up 2 stories or whatever. But one of them had plants growing in it. It had been apparently so long since it had been cleaned.
Oh no.
So I was like, oh, roots. I'm glad I'm getting this figured out now.
That's when you look at it and go, is that a tree growing in my gutter?
It probably was. There seemed to be tons of little, I think they're oak trees just sprouting up in the grass constantly. I was like, oh, well, all right, I just mow over. They'll give up. They'll get the hint. But so anyway, I guess I didn't say it yet, but I've brought all these lovely gals together to talk about business impact analysis today. I'm pretty sure it is one of every IT manager, information security manager's favorite thing to do, which is why it's, I think, really valuable for us to talk about it today, because I'm pretty sure most people don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. They're just like, that sounds, I don't know, boring, non-technical, whole lot of paperwork and conversations. Like, why do I really have to do this? And I'm sure there are some people that know the value, have seen the value, but probably only after you've done it. And most of the time you're doing it because somebody else is telling you that you have to. So I don't know if any of you have different experiences than that, but that's kind of been what I've found. And kind of sparking the conversation is I enjoy doing them. It's kind of crazy. You gals may as well, I assume, since you were very happy to join me on this conversation to talk about it. I think they are one of those things that when you start the conversation, you get really good value and really good conversation and start to see how they just going through it um, helps build communications and bring understanding to your business, regardless of who's really performing it, as long as people are bought in on doing it. So, yeah, that's kind of what we'll be talking about today. So maybe I'll just pose the question first of all to you gals is like, what value do you see your customers getting out of it when you're going through the conversations and or process? What feedback have you had from clients as you go through it?
I think one of the key takeaways or key benefits that I'm hearing from clients is that when you start going through the process, the technology or security teams think that they know all of the processes. They know and understand what's important to the people that they are, basically taking care of day in and day out. And they don't. In almost every instance that I've been involved in conducting a business impact analysis, there are conversations around, I had no idea that you all were doing this. I had no idea that you used this service or this software in this way. I had no idea that that's something that another business unit depended upon. So
Mhm.
for me, I think the big takeaway is that you know the learning across the board and from the technology and security teams that really think that they know um, how their organization functions.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. For me, I'm the same way as you, Megan. I do get joy out of doing BIAs and talking about business continuity, disaster recovery. I know it makes me weird, and everybody laughs every time they talk to me about it because they're like, "Why? Why?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't get it." Um, but that's part of it. You have to have somebody that enjoys talking about it with those people that don't enjoy talking about it, and that makes a difference. It makes a huge difference because those are the people that help lead those conversations, where you're anticipating having the better outcomes. I think one of the critical benefits, excuse me, for us that I've seen is kind of what Catherine alluded to, is knowing what those interdependencies are with some of those. They may have a good idea of what those critical systems are, not always having a good idea of what the critical interdependencies are with those systems. I had one client, we did a BIA and did a disaster recovery tabletop exercise with them, and they had one system. It was their ERP system. The IT department was tasked with bringing that system back up in the disaster recovery side of it, and had no idea how many different interdependencies there were. We ended up calculating it to be 38 different interdependencies for that one system. And they were like, we had no idea that this was here. So had that system gone offline, had we had to bring it up in the DR site, he's like, there's no way we would have been able to do that without having that knowledge. So,
Yeah, that's big.
yeah.
Yeah, I think adding on to what you were both saying is IT generally has a fairly good idea of what software are essential because they're the things that people complain loudest about when, or the most people reach out to complain about when something goes wrong, right? But there are still gaps. Like there's the business process, the business leadership perspective of what's actually most important. Did you get a fairly good idea through just doing IT for long enough for your company? Because again, same thing, a lot of people scream really loud when the essential stuff can't happen, but it does help you get that bigger picture and kind of fill in some of those gaps that you might not otherwise understand. Or yeah, like you were saying, Coral, it's like maybe one group comes first, and as long as you get it up and running, you don't hear from all those other groups or processes that might rely on that same system, and so you don't even know where else. And so that's the nice thing about the business impact analysis, is it gives you that opportunity to talk with each department and really understand how they operate, what technology they use, and then go back and understand the interdependencies. Like maybe it's an application you don't have to work with very much. Sometimes there's small little subsets of applications that maybe a team that's not IT runs, but it relies on some other IT responsibility technology. And so there might be problems you just haven't run into until you end up in a disaster situation, and they're like, we have to get this up and running, and you're like, I've never even heard of that thing. What are you talking about, and what do I need to do to give you what you need to get it running? So yeah.
My experience with the BAs have been pretty positive as well. And I think that one of the things that came out of doing a BIA was a change in culture. When they were forced to dissect their operations and their dependencies and those hidden connections, in IT, we're used to doing the shadow IT, definitely hidden connections when it comes to BIA. But it was a realization that once they were asked those hard questions, they realized that they were inefficient or they could do something better. It really challenged them to change their culture, change their processes, and reevaluate what they were doing. So I really like that they took that and became a better organization culturally overall, just to be more successful. So I thought that was like, yes, that was our hidden agenda. Not just to keep you running, to also
But
keep you running smoothly and efficiently and happy.
yeah, I think that's that would be one of the best outcomes, right? Um, to have the exercise actually affect change in the organization, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
agreed.
Yeah, I think
But that's partially why I do enjoy doing them
yes.
for that outcome.
Well, I think one of the things that it can help IT managers or IT departments in too is, in IT, you're used to talking about the systems that you want to keep running, mostly because that's your responsibility. Like you want everything running smoothly all the time, because if it's not, somebody's going to be coming to you. And so I think especially if you're having difficulty essentially winning or getting buy-in with leadership to spend money or put a certain amount of time, money, resources towards maintaining your backups, maintaining your resiliency systems, having a business impact analysis and those conversations can kind of help move that into the business language of valuable business processes and financial impact that you might not otherwise be able to communicate from your kind of more narrow perspective as IT and IT manager. I don't know if any of you have kind of seen that firsthand in some of the business impact analyses that you've done. I know that was at least a primary driver for one of the clients I worked with in the past.
I would agree. I mean, the one of those benefits is being able to quantify what the impacts are to the organization, right? And we're not just talking about financial impact. There's the operational impact as well as reputational. So doing a BIA helps to at least estimate what those impacts are and what's the fallout of any disruptions to those services or to those processes.
Yeah.
It's really having the BIA kit that we currently use and everything, that's really data driven, and it's a data driven understanding that we can provide to leadership to really get that buy-in. And if anything, it really just helps us, at the end of the day, the leadership wants to be able, we don't want the BIA to be, a way to stop them from doing anything. It really is an enabler. It helps them succeed. It helps them drive value to their customers, to revenue operations. And it's just like you said, Coral, it really helps them realize what the impacts would be based on those.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say too, I mean, once you know those impacts too, then it helps drive the strategic plan for the organization, right? And that's the ultimate goal for those leadership roles. What is the strategic plan for the business? Um, the best way to do that is to have the data behind you so that you can support that, and the BIA does exactly that.
I joined there's the Minnesota Business Continuity Planners Association here local in the Twin Cities, and I've joined a couple of their meetings. And one of the ones I joined recently was a lot of fun, and it was a business impact analysis roundtable. And it was so awesome to hear these professionals, many of whom do nothing but continuity management for their organizations, really say a lot of the same things we do. And then one thing that was interesting was even to hear them talk about tooling. Like, there are more complex, robust kind of GRC type tools that you can use and are definitely, I think, essential for the really large, complex organizations. But for most of the clients we work with and a lot of the smaller ones, they use Excel and it works fine. And it gets the job done and it keeps the information organized. It makes it very easy to be accessible and repeatable year after year when you're updating that information. Um, so I think that was also kind of reaffirming in our continued use. I mean, we try to be product agnostic. We don't want to push some expensive GRC tool at you just so that you can collect the information you need from a few teams and then put it into a business continuity plan, right? So that was kind of fun to see, and then just hear so many of the same challenges, same advantages heard around that round table, and just what you get, what your business gets out of it. One thing that I heard talked about a little bit more and I thought was particularly interesting is, when do you get leadership buy-in on your business impact analysis? Like, if assuming they're not the ones bringing it to you, do you kind of do the work first and then bring it to them for their review and be like, hey, here's this thing we put together. We're informing you. We need your feedback. That's kind of the initial approach we took to doing it at FRSecure when we did it for ourselves. But then they were pointing out, or at least one member of the roundtable was pointing out, like, when you can reverse that order and actually start with your leadership team and get that direction first of what are our key operations, what are our key business procedures, kind of get that priority first, because otherwise you almost have to backtrack, was kind of the explanation. And what I found in practice too is, like, if you start with the data and then you bring it up, each department has their own opinions of what's most important and what's most essential. And then you really need that executive leadership team to kind of vet that out and bring a little bit more of their perspective of the overall business running. And so then you make some adjustments. Whereas if you start with them, you can kind of feed that down into the process as you go. I don't know if any of you have kind of seen some of that play out, or what your experience is in that.
I actually have, and I prefer to start with leadership, and I think that's kind of an important component to being successful, or to getting the BIA done in a timely manner. It's a pretty painful process for some organizations or some business units to go through that identifying the critical processes and all that's entailed in that. And um, having, at least if the leadership hasn't initiated the BIA, then having the communication go to the leadership and sharing with them um, what's happening, what's being initiated, and the business units that have been identified and the people who have been identified to target in those business units to help get their groups involved. And that's been pretty successful, because sometimes you'll get feedback from leadership right off, that they want something else targeted, or There's someone else that they want to make sure is involved in the process. And it's also helpful because as you go through the process of working with those business units and those groups, getting them to sit down and actually get through the processes and the questionnaires and the information that they have to identify, that's not easy. It's helpful to have the leadership backing if you need it.
I think a lot of the times if you're trying to get the leadership buy-in, if you bring up any sort of compliance or industry standard or regulatory requirement that the organization is trying to be in compliance with, the BIA is going to play a part of that because almost without a doubt, they're going to have to be required to have some sort of disaster recovery business continuity plan for their business. And so with those, it plays right into one another. I've had some conversations where it's been really good conversations to let them understand that there is a big difference between a business continuity plan and a disaster recovery plan. Um, and so when we start talking about what those differences are, with that disaster recovery plan being mostly technically focused, right? Mostly IT systems versus the business continuity plan being business focused. How do we keep the business going in the middle of a disaster or disruption? When they start understanding the differences, then they start having a broader understanding of, okay, where does the BIA fit into all of this? And it actually fits into both of those plans, which is why it's super beneficial and super helpful.
Um, well, I know we're starting to come up on time, but I was thinking I would ask you ladies, do you have like your, I don't know, we could talk about this for so much longer. It's just kind of incredible how quickly 20, 30 minutes goes by. I don't know if there's any particular tips or suggestions you would give, or maybe your favorite or most challenging scenarios that you've run through when doing business impact analysis.
I think just kind of to touch on what we talked about earlier, getting leadership involved, making sure that you've got some backing. I found it helpful to identify people in those business units who are interested in learning. That's a big key. And then setting some time frames, even if you're not able to meet them all with each business unit, and each milestone that you're trying to hit. Setting some of those timeframes really help you keep things moving and frame things.
I will say, don't think of your business continuity plan, your disaster recovery plan, and your business impact analysis as a one and done. They should all be reviewed annually. I did do an organization, I helped out an organization that had previously done a BIA, and it was 15 years old. I'm pretty sure there was nothing in there that was up to date and accurate, including names, tools, applications, you name it. There was nothing usable in that plan anymore. So you have to make sure that it's continually updating as you're making changes to the environment.
Yeah, I think those are two really good ones. Part of the things that I always make sure that I look for is engaging the right people in order to make it an efficient BIA, primarily because it feeds into your BCP, DR, your IRP even. So it really involves the whole entire organization. And I think that that's often a forethought for people, that they think it's a compliance checkbox or it's an IT situation, but that is a really good exercise for the entire business.
Mhm.
So
Do you feel like going through the business impact analysis is cumbersome or difficult?
I think it can be.
Yeah.
I think it can be, especially if you don't have any idea how to even get started.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I think if somebody sat me down 4 years ago and said, "Here, I want you to do a business impact analysis," I'd have been like, "No." um, Now that I've done quite a few of them, and FRSecure has our starter kit out on our resources page. Um, it walks you through it. It's not completely um, without having to put some sort of thought and effort into it. But it's a good place to start if you don't have anything. At a bare minimum, knowledge is power. So,
Mhm. Yeah, I can mention, it
Definitely,
looks like we
Kathryn.
lost Kathryn, but yeah, we put the business impact analysis starter kit based on our experience and just kind of our process of how we work, how we walk clients through that. And like Coral said, it is available to download from our resources page for free, no strings attached. So hopefully that's a good starter point for a lot of people, because I do think a lot of that is just, where do I start? What is this conversation even supposed to be? What do I need to do here? And yeah, if you have no idea, you don't have buy-in, it can be really challenging and hard to get started. But if you kind of follow the step-by-step process we laid out, it's really just talking to people and collecting information and then communicating that information to the teams and kind of figuring out what to do with it afterwards. So it kind of helps break it down, get rid of the complexity, get rid of the um, maybe intimidation factor.
yeah, that's a good one.
Let's see. Well, we can start wrapping up. We'll see if we get Coral, or not Coral, you're here, Kathryn back or not, or if we lost her. Seems like she was having some connection issues. But so we'll go with wrapping up with, what's something that you're grateful for. Does anyone want to take that first, or otherwise I'll try to jump in there. I'll go for it. Um, I mean, first of all, I'm really grateful to you gals for joining me here today. We kind of came up with this idea pretty last minute, as we're trying to get all of our Unsecurity episodes scheduled so we can keep them coming out to everybody on time. But also, I just get so much pleasure out of talking with all of you. Now that I'm in my director role, I don't get to talk to you guys nearly as much as I wish I could. And just have these conversations. So it's a blast, and I'm glad that all of you jumped at the chance to come and join me and make time to do this.
Uh, I will admit, I am grateful for you, Megan, because without you doing that starter kit for the BIA, I never would have thought that I would have had an interest in doing anything with business continuity, disaster recovery, business impact analysis, any of that before. Um, and to have that as something in my back pocket to say, oh yeah, I actually enjoy doing this, is definitely unique in the industry that we're in. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate the people that we work with. I appreciate our clients and my coworkers, Mea and Kathryn. Yeah, I know she's not here, but I'll give her a shout out too.
Yeah.
And I would echo the same sentiments. Definitely appreciate our leadership when it comes to giving us the opportunity to allow these resources to be created so that we can, at the end of the day, provide clarity to our clients. I think that we're always in a great phase where we're always willing to adjust and learn from our experiences so that we can make the clients or help the clients more to be more successful. And that comes with leadership's guidance. And I really appreciate that. I definitely appreciate the people I work with, because part of our job that I have to remind myself is, this is still a job, but I enjoy it. This is a career. I enjoy it because of the people I work with. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Welcome back, Catherine.
Hey,
Welcome back.
Show our
Kathryn.
appreciation how much
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you.
Goodness.
We'll put you on the spot right away because we're kind of wrapping up. But were there any other last things you want to share about what you enjoy about business impact analysis? And do you have any things you want to put thanks out there for before we wrap it up?
Uh, well, I think when it comes to business impact analysis and the plans that that rolls into, I really enjoy learning how organizations, do things. there's a lot of people out there who are pretty creative with the way that they figure out how to do their jobs, and discovering those things I really enjoy. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Great conversation. Like I said, well, I think we could have talked about business impact analysis easily for 2 more hours, I think. I don't know, for anyone that hasn't gotten into it, yeah, check out our starter kit on the FRSecure website. Hopefully that'll help reduce the intimidation factor when you've never taken a look at it. Yeah, I think Coral, me, as you guys were talking, it reminded me, like, I've got to put gratitude out there to Lori Blair, who's retired from the FRSecure team now, because she taught me everything that I knew about business impact analysis. And she had such a gift for everything information security in breaking down some of those scary, complex sounding processes and making them so straightforward and simple, and just reducing all of that intimidation factor. So I think that's really led to then the downstream effect, right? Of that's kind of how we want to approach it with all of our clients, is not try to be the experts that are the only ones that can do it, but to say, no, you can do this for yourself too. We're here. We're happy to help you if you need that extra assistance,
Absolutely.
that extra night guidance and mentor or whatever. But you can do these things yourself. It's not as complicated and scary as it looks, though it does help to have someone walk you through it maybe the first time. So yeah, she's information security legend, as we like to say. But yeah, thanks all of you again for joining me here today, and to all of our listeners for listening in. We tentatively have planned for our next podcast to be around AI, security of AI. So looking forward to that conversation. Hopefully it comes together, and got some good things on the schedule upcoming. So stay tuned for more. And in the meantime, if you have any feedback or want to be a guest on our podcast, you can go through the Unsecurity website page to send us your notes. We'd love to hear them. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.